I'm going to share with you 10 secrets for asylum success. Now, most asylum seekers don't really know what they're getting into in pursuing their claim, and they definitely don't know about the insights that I'm about to share with you. I'm Brian Manning, and I used to be an asylum officer with the government, but now, as an asylum lawyer, well, I help immigrants all over the country to secure their future in America through asylum. Let me know in the comments if you've got an asylum case pending, or maybe you're considering applying. And listen, I'd especially like to hear from you if you've been waiting for multiple years for your asylum interview with USCIS. All right, here are 10 things you absolutely need to know to give yourself the best chance of securing your future in America through asylum. Let's do it. Number 1, understand exactly what the asylum officer is looking for. Listen, to win your case, you need to know what the asylum officer is truly interested in, and they're not interested in a sad story. They need to see that specific elements are satisfied in order to approve your case. So, focus on explaining any past harm that you've endured for the purpose of establishing that you've suffered past persecution, and also show what circumstances exist that show that you're at real risk of future persecution. Moreover, you need to show the officer what it is that's motivating the bad guys to target you. You've got to convince the officer that the persecution is motivated by the fact that you possess one of the 5 protected characteristics under US asylum law. So these are the 3 things that the officer is most interested in: past persecution, future persecution, and what's called nexus to a protected ground. Number 2, craft a compelling personal statement. Your personal statement is your chance to tell your story in your own words. But here's the thing, longer is not better. Keep it to 3 to 4 pages, single spaced. Now, this forces you to focus on what's most important. You'll want to start with a very brief background, just a couple sentences of prologue, and then dive right into the key incidents that show that you've been persecuted or have a well-founded fear of future persecution. Now, be specific about what happened, when it happened, who did it, and why you believe it occurred. Don't get bogged down in unnecessary details or irrelevant information. Just stick to the facts that demonstrate your eligibility for asylum. Remember, the asylum officer will be reading many statements. Make yours stand out by being clear, concise, and compelling. End your statement by explaining why you can't safely relocate within your country and why you're afraid to return. Now, this addresses important legal elements of your asylum claim. All right, number 3, submit a well-crafted supplemental filing. A supplemental filing is your secret weapon for asylum success. It's a packet you submit to the asylum office in addition to your core application materials. It's your chance to make the officer love you and your case before you even step foot into their office. There are 3 elements in a compelling supplemental filing. The first is the personal statement, sometimes called a declaration or asylum story, which we talked about just a minute ago. Next is country conditions information. These are reports from reputable sources that back up your claim. They show that what you're saying about the dangers in your country is true. Now, focus on mainstream sources that the asylum officer will trust, like the US State Department reports. News articles can help as well. The third element in the supplemental filing is evidence specific to your case, and we're going to talk more about that in just a minute. 4, prepare thoroughly for your interview. Study your case materials, practice telling your story, and plan logistics well in advance. Listen, preparation is absolutely key to acing your asylum interview. Start by studying all of your case materials. Know your application form, personal statement, and evidence inside and out. You need to be able to discuss the details of your case without hesitation, and you've got to avoid providing conflicting information. You should practice telling your story out loud. This helps you become comfortable articulating your experiences and fears. Have someone play the role of the asylum officer and ask you tough questions. The more you practice, the more confident you'll be in the actual interview. Now, don't forget about logistics. Know exactly where your interview will be held and how you're going to get there. Plan to arrive early. Arrange childcare if needed. Decide what you'll wear. Aim for neat and respectful attire. Organize well ahead of time all necessary documents you'll take with you to the interview, including originals of anything that you've submitted. Have them organized and easily accessible. You don't want to waste time fumbling for papers during your interview. Next up, number 5, answer interview questions directly and concisely. Listen carefully and respond to exactly what's being asked. Listen, during your interview, it's crucial to answer questions directly and concisely. This is harder than it sounds, especially when you're nervous and dealing with emotional, sensitive topics. You gotta listen carefully to each question. Make sure that you understand exactly what's being asked before you start answering. If you're not sure, ask for clarification. Now, when you answer, address the specific question asked. Don't go off on tangents or try to steer the conversation to topics that you think are important. The officer has a reason for asking each question, and your job is to provide the information that they're seeking. You have to accept that the officer is in control and not you. Be concise. Provide enough detail to answer the question fully, but don't ramble, okay? If the officer wants more information, well, they'll ask follow-up questions. Remember, it's okay to say, I don't know or I don't remember if that's the truth. It's much better to admit that you're unsure than to guess and risk being inconsistent. Okay, number 6, describe incidents of harm in detail, both in your declaration and your testimony. Include specifics on what happened, when, who did it, and why you believe it occurred. When describing incidents of harm, listen, details really are crucial. The asylum officer needs to understand exactly what happened to you and why it rises to the level of persecution. So start with the basics. What happened? When did it occur? Who did it? And why you believe it happened. But don't stop there. Provide vivid, specific details that bring the incident to life. So for example, instead of saying, oh, they beat me, you could say, on March 15, 2022, 3 men wearing police uniforms came to my home. They accused me of supporting the opposition party and began hitting me with batons. They struck me repeatedly on my back and legs. During the beating, they said things like, you're a traitor to your country and opposition scum like you doesn't deserve to live. And this beating, it lasted about 5 minutes. And afterwards, I had severe bruising on my back, arms, and legs, and I could hardly walk for about a week. All right, explain the impact of the harm. Did you seek medical treatment? Did you have lasting physical or psychological effects? This all helps demonstrate the severity of the persecution. Don't forget to connect the incident to one of the 5 protected grounds. Make it clear why you believe you were targeted. Was it because of your religion, your political opinion, your ethnicity? And what can you point to in terms of what the persecutors actually said, or really any circumstances at all that show that, yeah, it's one of the protected grounds that's motivating the bad guys to target you. All right, number 7, gather and present strong supporting evidence. Include relevant documents, medical records, witness statements, and country conditions reports that corroborate your claim. Now, while it's possible to win based solely on your testimony, strong evidence greatly increases your chances for success. Start with documents directly related to the persecution that you faced. This might include police reports, medical records, or threatening letters. Don't forget about digital evidence. Screenshots of threatening messages or social media posts can be valuable proof. If you have photographs showing injuries from an attack, well, include those too. Witness statements should be detailed and specific, not just general character references. Remember, quality is more important than quantity. A few strong, directly relevant pieces of evidence are much better than a pile of marginally related documents. Now, when submitting evidence, organize it clearly and explain its relevance. Don't make the officer work to understand how a document supports your claim. Number 8, apply for asylum during your first year in the United States. And if you don't, then address the 1-year filing deadline. So listen, if applying after 1 year, you gotta explain why and demonstrate that an exception to the 1-year filing deadline applies. Now, there are 2 main categories of exceptions. They're called changed circumstances and extraordinary circumstances. Changed circumstances might include a shift in conditions in your home country that now puts you at risk, or possibly changes in your personal situation that make you at greater risk than you previously were. Now, extraordinary circumstances are serious events or situations that prevented you from filing within the 1-year period. But actually, just having legal status in the United States, like being a student, for example, counts as an extraordinary circumstance as well. Establishing that an exception to the 1-year filing deadline applies is tricky. If you're applying after 1 year, you should definitely talk with an asylum lawyer first. All right, number 9, be honest and consistent throughout the process. Listen, honesty and consistency are absolutely crucial in your asylum case. Lying or even unintentional inconsistencies can destroy your credibility and lead to a denial. Be truthful in every aspect of your case. Don't exaggerate or embellish your experiences, even if you think it will make your case stronger. Listen, asylum officers are trained to spot inconsistencies and falsehoods. Make sure your asylum application, personal statement, and interview testimony all align. Even small discrepancies, like different dates for the same event, can raise red flags. And to maintain consistency, review your written materials carefully before your interview. If you realize you made a mistake in your application or personal statement, be proactive about correcting it. It's better to address an error up front than to have the officer discover it and confront you with it at your asylum interview. Now, during your interview, if you're not sure about a detail, it's okay to say so. You can use phrases like, to the best of my recollection, or I'm not certain, but I believe. Now, this is better than stating something as fact when you're not really sure. At your interview, if the officer points out an inconsistency, don't panic. Listen carefully to what they're saying and try to explain the discrepancy. Sometimes, what seems like an inconsistency can be cleared up with additional context or explanation. Okay, finally, number 10, avoid form preparers or so-called document preparers. Hire a real asylum lawyer for your case, okay? When it comes to your asylum case, one of the biggest mistakes you can possibly make is hiring one of these form preparers or paralegals or anyone who's not a licensed attorney focusing on asylum law. Non-attorneys often say they can help you for a lower cost, but they can do irreparable damage to your case. Many asylum seekers have had their cases ruined by these non-attorneys. They might fill out your forms incorrectly, give you bad advice, or even encourage you to lie in your case. Unlike licensed attorneys, these preparers are not bound by legal ethics rules, and they often don't have the in-depth knowledge needed to handle complex asylum cases. They may not understand the nuances of asylum law or keep up with changing policies and court decisions that could affect your case. A real asylum lawyer, on the other hand, can provide invaluable assistance. They can help you understand, first of all, if you have a viable claim, and then guide you through the entire process, prepare you for your interview or court hearing, and represent you before USCIS or the immigration court. They know how to present your case in the most compelling way and can help you navigate potential pitfalls. Yes, hiring an attorney may cost more upfront, but consider what's at stake: your safety, your future, and the life that you want to build in America. A skilled asylum lawyer can significantly increase your chances of winning your case, and your asylum case is too important to trust to anyone other than a qualified, experienced asylum attorney. Listen, navigating the asylum process successfully requires a deep understanding of what's required, thorough preparation, and careful presentation of your case. And by following the guidance that we just covered, well, you'll be well positioned to present the strongest possible asylum claim and increase your chances of approval. If you're ready to take the next step and get help with your asylum case, then please call my office today. That number is 713-909-0401. And remember, we help people all over the country, so it doesn't matter where you live. Call us now to schedule an asylum strategy session so that we can help you to secure your future in America through asylum. Again, I'm Brian Manning, and it's an honor to serve you in your asylum journey.